for you, and I hope you have some questions for this fantastic cast and crew. Tonight, we are going to talk 31. Before we get started, does everybody see the movie? Yeah! Does everybody fucking love Rob Zombie? Yeah! I need a little more for Rob Zombie, I'm sorry, what? Alright, let's get things started. Right now I can see off to my right the lovely and ever-talented Ginger Lynn. Come on up, Ginger. Who's coming out next? I can't see anybody. Oh, but I love you. Come up first. Who doesn't love Ginger Lynn? I want a round of applause for Ginger Lynn. I can do this all night. Hey, we can do a lot of things if it's just you. We got a lot of conversations to go through.
Well, there's my boyfriend. He was on the set.
Bring them all out. Bring them all out. Fantastic. I think we're starting a little early. That's all it is. I think it's good. It happens.
You're very intimidating. Are they breaking up with me via text?
No, my son's in the nice weather.
Oh, that's charming. So can we hear that? Woo! Jeff Daniel Phillips is Come on down, I don't bite unless you want me to. But I think that's you know, that's
Hello,
there's consent
everybody.
there. Hi, everybody. Let's give it up for 31. She does have a blue face. It's pretty fantastic. You were the white Snow White?
Snow White Walker, but no more Snow White, just White Walker. This is my evening wear, basically. You know?
You take the ball gown off for the evenings?
Yeah.
She's fantastic. Yeah, he was the original.
Yeah, that's right.
Keeping it old school. So typically I have a few questions for the cast to kind of get everything started, and I know you are all going to have questions as well, so we're going to want to make sure we get to that too. So be thinking of them, and I'm definitely going to be calling on you to help us out and keep things going. One of the most fantastic things, are you not able to hear me, Meg?
Thank you.
Sorry about
You know
that.
what? For some reason, we can't hear you over here.
Oh, my apologies.
Because we're older. This is the young side.
You guys, he's breaking out King Dong real early. Keep it in your pants, buddy. Calling ladies older, that's not right. So we have a few questions every time to get started and make sure that we're all on the same page. Have questions for you. We've got some new faces to Rob Zombie films and some older faces, and some more experienced faces working with Rob, and get your thoughts on this film in particular. You had a 20-day shooting schedule. And I wanted to kind of get your overall feelings and thoughts on shooting with Rob in these 20 days.
Judith, and this is Margaret. Malcolm, who is not here, and Jane Carr, who is not here, we were only involved in 1 week of shooting. And so we shot actually very intense days, and they were long, really long days. The thing about working with Rob is it's fun. It's easy. He's a great audience. He loves his actors. And in this case, for Meg and for myself and for Jeff, and of course for Malcolm, the roles were written for us. And you know, it was great for me because I've known Malcolm since I was about 16, 17, and we'd never worked together, and so we had a ball. Basically, working with Rob.
Didn't you go to school together too?
No, we didn't. But we knew each other during that time of school. So we knew the same agency, we knew the same friends. So yeah, and he called me when he knew that this was going to happen. And I'll use the word, I'm afraid he uses quite a bit. And he said, Jude, it's 15 years and we've never fucking worked together. It's about bloody time. We had a ball. It's fun to work as well.
Yes. What was it? Excuse me, I just want to make sure you asked, what was it like shooting in 20 days? Is that what you said there?
This isn't your first film with Rob, so what was like on set shooting in the 20 days with Rob coming back? Especially for you with a role that was written for you.
I'm sorry, especially what?
With a role that was written directly for you.
Oh.
Working with Mr. Zombie is not like work. He puts so much, so specifically into everything that he does. It's being a part of a creation, really. I know that you all probably know of his work and have seen his work and the vastness and the diversity. And so, it's an experience unlike any other that I really have ever had the pleasure of having. His focus, his gentility in dealing with people. He has an energy that sort of sifts through like a slow snake, and nothing ever goes past him, you know? And 20 days was, 21 days? Days sort of didn't matter. In this particular film, for me, I found that it was really upsetting. I didn't really realize it at the time, but things would change. Like we worked in certain sets, the large buildings that we were in, which were vacant. They took on Rob. You know, we were in an environment that we were planted into, and they were so perfect that you didn't know if you were going to be wet, if you were going to be able to hear anything. You really weren't aware of where a camera was, even if it was right in front of you. And he and his art director, they change a whole room, you know, like that. And it was like going through a labyrinth. And it was new. I mean, when we first met Pancho, the very first day that we were there, we were in this beautiful large building, and Judith and Malcolm appeared on the balcony with Jane, and they were all white, and they had on all white, and we know them, but it's like they came out and it was like, who the hell are they? You know, and we were all in a row holding up our arms with chains, you know, and trying, do you have it right? Do you have it? What are you gonna, is it hooked right? No, this isn't hooked right. And we're all trying to get comfortable, and we're in a row, and I had not met Pancho. My God, I hadn't even seen him. And we were rehearsing, and all of a sudden Malcolm says something, and he sort of goes, ta-da, and in this direction, you know, what was he doing? And all of a sudden, Pancho came out of the dark. Do you remember that? Just out of the dark, here comes Pancho with a hat on and a swastika on his chest. pounding his chest, strutting like a buck deer, you know. And I literally had this moment, and I thought, what the fuck is going on? And we'd already rehearsed it, you know, and that was the first time I saw him. And he's speaking, you know, he's from Chile, speaking Chilean, speaking Spanish, and it was beautiful. But so all this is what I'm saying has to do with Mr. Zombie. And his lovely, talented, precious wife, Sherry Moore. And you're prepared and you're not, because you don't know where internally you're ever going to go. It can change in a second, you know? And 20 days was quite extraordinary, but they flew by. They absolutely flew by. I can't remember what I'm saying anymore. So, Jeff, go.
Is this working? No, like Meg said, it definitely, you start, you know, on your feet running right away. You don't know where you're going. Even before it began, he told me about, okay, I have this part for you. You're this single dad. Your wife died. You're an illustrator. You're trying to raise this family. I'm like, oh, that's great. And then I get the script and it says Roscoe Carney, ass-kicking Carney. So it's like, he just switches. I go, what happened to the dad story? He goes, nobody wants to see that. They just want to get right to the blood. So that's basically, like, he has an idea, you listen, and then once you get to set, everything could change. So it does keep you kind of on your toes, but also a little disoriented. And in this case, it's perfect because we never knew what was gonna exactly happen or shoot. And like Meg said, yeah, we got introduced to Pancho on the day, you know, in his outfit. And that kind of shows on our face, like, you know, like a bunch of scared monkeys or something. But it did go by pretty quickly, but at the same time, she's right. It's like that environment, it was pretty dark, damp, cold, dusty. A lot of times you didn't see sun for a few days, so you definitely start to get a little whacked out. And by the end of it, we were all a little, you know.
But that's what he wanted.
Yeah, and it's very effective, and it comes across on stage or on screen. You guys have anything?
I wholeheartedly agree. I'll say the one thing about that tight shooting schedule is that you don't get a ton of takes to play around with, so you have to really nail your performance right away. Because we only got, I think, 2 takes for a lot of our scenes, maybe 3 takes. So, but we did have some rehearsals, so we were able to kind of play around and figure out exactly what we were going to be doing. But that's the one difference with that tight shooting schedule, that you don't get to sort of do the like 7 or 8 takes that you might with.
It's not a David Fincher,
right.
35 takes.
Right.
Picking up a glass of water.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That sums it up. Mm-hmm.
When I auditioned for the film, I didn't even know I was auditioning for a Rob Zombie film. It was just, here's the size, do what you can do with it. And I auditioned and ended up getting the role, and then ended up going to meet Rob, and that's when he told me that, he's like, yeah, by the way, you're gonna play a Nazi Hitler clown. All right, you know, if I get to play one of the killer in a Rob Zombie film, why not play one of the most infamous ones of all time, you know? And to get that opportunity to do it in one of Rob Zombie's movies, who was one of my favorite directors in that genre, or in any case of all times, like, it was a huge opportunity, you know. And I mean, my first scene was with all these actors that I look up to and have looked up to for a really long time, and it was scary. It was scary, you know, and I was nervous, and I did the first take, you know, and like they say, we only get like 1 or 2 takes, you know, and you got to nail it. If not, Rob will probably never put you in another film again.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah. No, it's definitely true. And so I did it the first time. Rob saw the nerves, and Rob came up to me afterwards, you know, and he pulled me aside from everyone, and he was like, you know what, this is your moment to, you know, do what you do, you know, take your time with each person, you know, enjoy this. And I was like, that to me right there, when he did that, you know, just just opened up like this world for me, like this world of freedom, you know, to, like I felt like finally I'm home, you know, and then that's when things started working, and throughout the whole shoot, like there were scenes that weren't even supposed to be in the movie that just made it in because Rob just enjoyed what we were just making and putting together, and it was great. And Rob is a good director. He's an actor's director. He believes in you, and he just wants to take you on this journey, and you gotta just trust him, you know, and that there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and you know, people are either gonna like it or they're not, you know. It's Rob doesn't make movies for the industry. He makes them for the fans, and that's, you know, that's what he does, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know?
For me, my experience was a little off. I received my script and I read it, and I'm one of those people who will take my dialogue and I will run it in the shower, I'll run it in the car, I'll nonstop go over what my dialogue is and create my character and make my choices as I come along. So for 3 weeks I'm ready, and I live in Las Vegas. I drove to Los Angeles, I checked into my hotel, and at 6:30 in the morning my email started beeping. And I opened up my email, and all of my dialogue had changed. Everything. And you know, and I'm a little OCD. I didn't know what to do. And so I'm like, all right, I can do this. And I just kept running it and running it. And one of my lines was, "I'm your cherry bomb, baby, blow me up." I could not remember this line to save my life.
You just did a great job.
I know, thank you. I've done that line so many times now in the car. I'm perfect. But I got to the set, and Richard Brake, who plays Doomhead, is my leading man. And Rob had said, you know, you're a couple, you're a messed up couple, this is your dialogue. But when I got the new changes in the script, we weren't a couple anymore. We were just really messed up people. And so we did the first shot and first take, and then Rob said, you know, I want to let you guys go. We had about 5 minutes to rehearse on our own. So I met Richard as Richard. Walked onto the set, he was Doomhead, and we were the most messed up couple ever, and Rob gave us the green light to just go with it. There's about a half an hour of foul, bad, messed up dialogue between two people who are just wrong on the floor. Hopefully some of that might be in the director's cut. But I'm always intimidated to work by Rob. I think I have so much respect for him, and I love that he has his vision and doesn't let other people dictate where it needs to go. And as Pancho said, he does make his films for his fans, and I just feel blessed to be in anything that he does. I know it's going to be something that I'll be proud of.
Something that's a little bit different about this film in general was that it was also a crowdfunded film. So I wanted to ask you if you had a different sense or different feeling going into making the movie, knowing that it was a crowdfunded film and that so many fans were behind you from the jump before anyone really knew what the film was. We just knew you were all going to be in it and Rob Zombie was directing it. I jumped at the chance to fund it myself, so we wanted to know if maybe there was a different vibe or different sense for you going in, knowing the fans were so strongly behind you making this.
No. My point of view as an actor, it's sort of irrelevant to who is actually paying you, you know, however the money comes, you turn up. It's a film. It's a film set, and that's all that matters. That's not our job. You know, our job is to turn up and play the roles. I agree.
I also agree.
It was cool to like, I didn't let like any of that kind of stuff affect me, but I was able to meet some really cool friends out of it. in a sense that, like, and you also got to see what a good person Rob is you had these people that crowdfunded the film, and certain people, you know, got to come on set and like shadow Rob, like these people that look up to Rob and shadow Rob and be part of, like, you know, the part of the crew, part of the set, and hang out with Rob and just like experience like time of a lifetime, you know, if you're shadowing your like mentors. And so it was, and then I got to meet some of these people and become friends with them, and now we're like lifelong friends, and I thought it was cool, man, and they were so into it, and they enjoyed being a part of the project, and just enjoyed like now being a part of a film that, like, you know, is going to be a cult classic, you know.
So you mentioned that for a couple of you, the first time meeting Pancho was on set in that first scene. That first scene really sets the tone. So a big round of applause for Pancho for really bringing it in. I had no idea you were nervous. You blew my mind. It really sets the tone for the film and lets the viewer know that not only do the characters not have any idea where they're at, no, we don't have any idea either. So I want to ask you a little bit about coming to that and what you were going through in your head coming out, getting ready, and how much of it, you said you ad-libbed a fair amount and that you had extra stuff that was shot. So how much of that was you and how much was on the page?
Well, I mean, translating, like, I got to set, and it was like, Rob was like, you know, like, I see on your resume it says that you could speak Spanish, so, like, you know, let's try some stuff in Spanish, you know. And me being, you know, like, just so hungry and so just ambitious, as we all are, but I just knew all my lines. I was ready to go. He's like, you remember some of your lines? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And so some stuff can translate well, easily, and then some stuff you just got to improvise, and I didn't want to disrespect any of the writing by, like, changing words around, but then at the same time I was like, none of these motherfuckers know what I'm saying anyway. I'm just gonna say whatever, and hopefully no one will understand. And of course, Rob was just so into it. He's like, oh my God, that was so great. Holy shit, all your dialogue is in Spanish now. And I was like, all right, damn it, you know, like, this is gonna be kind of hard. And then I was like, well, Rob, are you gonna have, like, you know, like, any subtitles? He's like, fuck no. I was like, Rob, you know, like, no one's gonna understand me. He's like, that's the whole thing, Pancho. He's like, it's something about someone chasing you, and you don't know what the fuck you're saying. And I was like, all right, cool, you know. But still, I had to make it make sense to me, you know. So I did some research, as all of us actors do. We all got our different, like, methods, and, you know, I did some research, and apparently, like, a lot of the Nazis that didn't die in World War II, you know, migrated to South America, Argentina, Chile, Brazil. So that's how it started making sense to me, because if, as an actor, if you don't believe in what you're saying, no one else is gonna believe what you're saying. So it started making sense to me, and that's when I got to use my imagination, you know. I got to be like, all right, you know, crazy Nazi migrated to South America, was fascinated with the little person, adopted one, and then he performed lobotomies on him, did electric shock therapy, you know, took his pain sensation away.
This is the sequel.
Yeah.
Or the
Pain sensation
prequel.
away, and just, like, taught him hate and just let him loose into the world.
Wait,
I was
some
like,
of this is based on your actual life story.
maybe there'll be a prequel, who knows?
See, I had a similar thing with the other language, but it was Larry. I couldn't understand what he was saying with the Jamaican accent that he had.
I didn't understand.
So both Meg and I and Sherry, we would look at each other and we'd wait till he was, oh yeah, he's done. It was my turn. Because sometimes I had no idea what he was going to do, and sometimes he would just rip. Right? So I was also terrorized by another actor, not by the story. He was on your team. And he was on my team.
I think one of the best parts of this movie, and one of the things that fans loved so much, was the connection that we all had with your characters with a very short period of time. We didn't have a lot of time to get to know our good guys, but you all brought those characters to life very quickly. And Meg, for you in particular, you were stunning. You were amazing. How much fun was it getting to use that chainsaw on set and really be a badass? What was that like? You spinning our chainsaw around, fighting off bad guys? Like,
What was it like?
yeah, absolutely. What was
It
going
was
through your
fun.
mind?
It was fun, especially with Torsten. Torsten was the beautiful marshmallow, the very tall marshmallow man with the tutu on. Yeah, he's really nice. I had a good time. I'm physical. I'm
You
very
looked
comfortable.
physical.
It's very funny. It gives me great joy. But I will say that at one point it got sort of heavy, and I got a little worried because I thought he was going to get me. You know, I mean, I knew that it wasn't real, but it was like it started getting really heavy, and I got really nervous. I thought, he's going to get me. It's just so wonderful working. Do you know? And when Rob finally called cut, it was like, I said, oh, thank God, I didn't think I was going to be able to hold it out. But, you know, chainsaws, they do have a history, don't they? And I remember when there weren't things like chainsaws. And I did think of that when we were in that large space, that I was old enough to remember when there weren't chainsaws. And when I met the first chainsaw, you know, which my father had, scared the bejesus out of me. I did. It was just, you know, and I got old enough, so I did use one very gently at times on trees. I was allowed, but it was fun to really wield it and weld it, and yeah, I liked it a lot.
As you could tell, when you act with Meg, you know she's like 120% in any scene. She's there, so it makes it so much easier to act with someone like this because you get lost in it too because she's right with you.
Well, and speaking of 120% in, you have the most physical role of anyone in this film, fighting off everyone left, right, and center.
It was originally written as the ass-kicking carny mechanic, but it was really should have been the carny mechanic who gets his ass kicked by everyone. He even kicks me in the nuts at one point. I mean, everybody in this whole film beat me up.
But you did get your chance to show up at the gun show.
Yeah.
Did you bring the guns tonight?
I'm not going to show them tonight. Not here.
How much preparation did you have for the stunts that you were doing, going through fighting every single person?
For some reason, I didn't get a stunt guy, and I limped out of the end of this film trying to like recover from all that too.
You did them all
You did well. You didn't need a stunt guy.
Well,
You didn't need a
sold
stunt
the guns.
guy.
He looked great. He looked great. He was taking on the world. And then, you know, at the end, I mean, hey, at the end you take on Doomhead. You go full on. You go full on against Doomhead. That takes guts.
Yeah, and I get my ass kicked again.
He did get his ass kicked. Guys, I want to make sure you guys have time to ask questions. I know there's a lot of you out there who have a burning desire. I see someone right here. Let's give it a go.
This is mostly for Judy, David, and Pancho. Obviously, the gauntlet that is 31 has run before. This isn't the first time you guys are doing it. How much, I know, Pancho, you sort of talked about your own ideas of your sort of backstory, but especially David and Judy, like, did you speak with your, you know, you kill with someone else, you're working with your other people. Did you talk with each other and come up with a backstory together of like, you know, this is what happened last year and this is what happened the year before, and kind of use that to inform how it came across and things like that? If I make any sense.
I said, Malcolm, apparently we as a group, we do this every year. He said, I don't give a fuck about that, darling, I just play the scene.
You know, Lou plays Psycho Head, and we didn't talk too much about our backstories. we were brothers. We talked more about how we were going to play the scene, and then I think each of us kind of came up with our own backstory. For me, I kind of was trying to come up with well, to me, my character wasn't there by choice. He was being forced to do this, and so he was trying to play the role of this crazy clown for his own survival. So the bit at the end where I begged for my life, that was sort of the moment where I tried to reveal that maybe there was something else behind these killer clowns, that they're not necessarily doing this for, out of their own personal joy. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that definitely deserves a round of applause.
This is a kind of a two-part question for everyone who is also in Lords of Salem. How was the experience working on Lords of Salem versus 31? For those of you who were in Lords of Salem.
Personally, for me, I got an email most nights from Rob with script changes. And I was very happy with all of that because they were great changes, because Rob was, I guess, working with, I was new to him, so whatever I was doing, he was picking it up and then, writing it again. With 31, that didn't happen to me. The dialogue basically stayed exactly the same as it was. What?
How was the difference between working on Lords of Salem versus 31?
Oh, hi, dear. Hi.
Hi.
One for me was in the 1600s, and the other one was in the 1970s. And they were very different. But, goodness, it just so different. So very, very different. I think they're very different. They're a Rob Zombie film, and I think Lords of Salem is brilliant. And, but the experience was very, very different for me in character. When I was Margaret Morgan, I lived in the woods, I lived in the woods and hallways and in the minds of people, and wallpaper meant something to me after I had passed and been burned. What can I say, if that makes any sense to anybody? But, and in 31, it's, I'm a hippie. I'm an old hippie. And I'm with my comrades, and we're struggling, and they're different. There's a very different energy in both of them. Robson, it's amazing what he, creates from one moment to the next, what films he chooses to bring to us and allows us to experience. Not one was better than the other.
I guess I never thought of it. It seems like both films, I came out exhausted, either emotionally or physically, or in Lords of Salem, that kind of wrecked me. And I don't know, when you are in that state for that long, when you're acting, if depending on what kind of actor you are, some people could just go home. But that one just kind of sat with me, and we were in the same location again. And that place just it just wore me out. And just seeing her kind of, but I'm saying the Lords of Salem. And seeing her, I watched her in that hallway scene, in the monitor. You know which one I'm talking about, Lords of Salem?
Yeah.
It was the best thing I've ever seen captured on a camera. And I sat there next to the camera. I was on the, my head was on the block or not, so. both of them were draining. I don't know. He tends to choose that for me, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. And everybody says, oh, you're in a Rob Zombie movie. How many people do you kill? And I go, I don't kill anybody in these movies. And I say to him, I go, is this funny? Everybody looks at me and they go, oh yeah, you're in a Rob Zombie movie, right? And he goes, Jeff, you're my Cary Grant. He goes, you're my Steve McQueen. You're not the guy that, goes out and kills, so. Which is very nice of him, by the way.
I was just curious to know what you guys think from Rob Zombie's coming from House of a Thousand Corpses to now 31. What is it about his style of a director that keeps us, the fans, coming back and enjoying what he's doing after each movie that's always so just different, but yet you can always tell it's Rob Zombie as well?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Repeating that?
Yeah, sure.
It was a
You
little
always
quiet
know
for
it's
some
his
of us.
style.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is it about his style that you think personally that keeps everybody keep coming back, and what makes him like the great horror director that he's really becoming throughout each movie?
Well, I think it's like his vision that he has, his art settings he has, the way his mind works. It's different than anybody else's. It's very, very original, very creative, and that's all I can say about it. As far as I've never seen it done in that fashion before. I mean, he makes remakes of like Halloween, but then like Michael Myers, like in the first Halloween, doesn't say anything, which is kind of cool. But then in the Rob Zombie Halloweens, when he's killing someone, you hear him going, oh, and that kind of adds like a little bit of intensity to it. And I also believe it's the way he scores films as well. Music always like makes things different. It gives everybody a different feeling, and I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
He's also completely confident too in switching it up, and he's not doing it to screw with the fans. This is what that's his muse, or that's what he's focused on at that moment, and he's not afraid to go to a Lords of Salem and then come back to a 31 and completely go back to switching it up. And it's just another flavor of his palette, his world, his whatever he's deciding to paint. So sometimes, like in Lords of Salem, in Toronto, the audience, half of the audience was like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? This is a trip. And then the other half was, this isn't a Rob Zombie movie. They were completely angry. And some of them came along, some didn't. But you kind of have to go into it trusting that he's confident in it, and this is what he wants to tell now. Whether it's this, or it could be a comedy down the line with Groucho Marx, or whatever it is. That's what he wants to do, and sometimes it's not for everyone, but it's what kind of moves him, or it keeps him moving and keeps him wanting to create. I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, no, thank you.
One of the wonderful things about making film, and with the expanse of film over the last 25, 30 years, is that we get to be intimate. It has become, a huge part of culture. And when I don't judge anybody, and I don't even really critique, I get invited. Something invites me into a place, or invites me, in this instance with Rob. I had seen his films. When I saw Devil's Rejects, my world changed, if that makes any sense. My sense of every character, as oddly, bizarrely violent as it was, reminded me of someone I knew. Each character that he chose, he wrote the character and he cast them. And each actor haunted me. There was something happening inside each of those characters, every one of them, that I thought, what happened? What are they thinking now? And I didn't know what to expect next. And I loved it. Because I think that's who we are as human beings, and I think we're capable of everything. Rob has poetry. Rob creates, and I don't know, and I really don't even know what I'm saying, but I think that there's a specific, well, truth, you know? I mean, when, for instance, the hallway, what happened to me in the hallway in Lords of Salem? I walked up these stairs in this building we were in, and I had on my wolf, and I loved my wolf, you know, and I had this long hair, and it was the first scene that was doing, and I walked upstairs and I came to the hallway, and the wallpaper reminded me of my grandfather's and grandmother's home. That changed my entire day. What I'm saying is that Rob is so specifically involved, and I mean with everything. With the characters, writing, rewriting, with, I'm gonna change this, is that good? He picks the entire wardrobe for everybody, designs it, picks it, knows what he wants. He has the most exquisite, in Lords of Salem, the most exquisite hovel that anybody would ever want to see. There were birds nesting. He's so in-depthly involved, and it flows. It's sort of like a river, take corners and everything. But it's a rhythm. It's a rhythm, it's a way it sees. I mean, it's almost like, I think, because things change and yet don't change. But the second that it's there. And that is in his energy. I don't know, it's a field. And I think we all know that. I mean, you can go from one thing to another to another. And that's somebody who follows what they think and what they feel. And he creates something for all of us. And that's a gift. We have a gift.
Yeah, just wonder if you guys, especially the ones that worked on Lords of Salem, this 31 had a real Rob Zombie feel to it. If you just saw the film, you could kind of guess it was Rob Zombie. Lords of Salem was completely kind of a departure for him. The style, the kind of a slow build, had a very Stanley Kubrick feel to it. Can you guys feel that while you're shooting, or does that come through later?
You know something, would you mind just repeating the end of it? You were asking the difference between... No.
I thought Lords of Salem was a very kind of a layered, a slow build, kind of a Stanley Kubrick style, not the widespread chaos feel you get with 31.
Did you feel it when we were shooting that you were going?
In Lords? I had never seen a Rob Zombie movie before, so truthfully, I didn't know what to expect. It was, for me at that moment, I was making a film and meeting him and everyone, his wife Sherry, for the first time. So I didn't think, was it like anything else, you know, in terms of Rob's work before.
Yeah, you did get that feeling. I mean, there was like a heaviness to it. We knew that the takes, it goes, no, just keep the camera going, keep the camera. So you would witness that while he was shooting. You knew it wasn't just like, you know, give it to the Steadicam guy, let him run through it. No, everything was very thought out. And, you know, I watched this setup to these grips. They had this huge crane. And he had this whole thing come down. It was going to come down. They took it was at the theater, and it was like that was so precise. And then, sure enough, with Rob, these guys spent a half a day setting up this big elaborate shot. He looked at like the first day. He goes, "This isn't going to work. I'm sorry, scrap that. Let's try something else." And I just see these guys just like sweating, but he's so confident in it. But he also. You know, he knew the music, most of the music during this, so that was a relief because sometimes you're just moving to a beat track or whatever you call it, and so that he knew that he was going to use Velvet Underground. He knew certain songs he wants, So yeah, he already knew the tone of the movie going in, and you got the feeling of it by the camera movements and some of that, I think.
Yeah, I saw the preview or the sneak peek in September of 31, and at the end there was a documentary going on where Rob had mentioned a passion project of his that he'd been working on for about 2.5 years, said it's going to take him another 2 to 3 years to finish, and that the 31 was put together basically to compensate for the fact that he hadn't had a project out in so long, and I was hoping to, if you guys knew of anything that maybe you guys are moving towards working on that passion project of his, or if anything's in the works.
That was a hockey movie that he was going to do, and he spent years on it, researching it, and he had problems with the people from the Flyers, I think. At the end, they supported him, they let him go through the archives, he did all the research, and then last minute, some of the ownership thought, maybe this isn't too good for hockey if it's that violent, and this isn't the message we want to send because we're attracting families to the game, and some of that came up, and then sure enough, I think within this last year, that owner, or one of those owners, died. So you never know what's going to happen, and that's this whole business. You think it's completely solid, everybody's behind you, finances, and then it all gets yanked out, especially lately. I mean, that's how it is. So that's, I think, what he was talking about or referring to.
Hey, my question is, you guys already mentioned a couple of times about how Rob changed things up on you, like not seeing Pancho until you were filming the scene, and you having your character changed on you. Was there anything else that Rob did to kind of keep you guys on edge or off balance during the shoot, or was there just not enough time because it was such a quick shoot?
Which movie you're talking about?
31.
31. No, not for me.
Well, so I think being the new guy, I feel like Rob was kind of experimenting with him, with me, like I was kind of like his guinea pig or something, because he kept like writing things into the film that weren't like in like the script that I had, and he was like, yeah, we're gonna try this out. Now you're gonna go in and you're gonna come back in and you're going to kill Kevin, and that was fun because I was like, Rob, there's no dialogue in this, and he was just like, yeah, just improvise it all. And I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm game. Let's improvise it all. But then Kevin was like, I don't know what the hell he's saying in Spanish. So that's one of the parts where I had to come in to Kevin. I was like, just trust me. I'm here for you, man. I know you're there for me. Just come in when I start speaking English. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So he let me do my thing, and then he came in when I started speaking English, and then we started it up again, and it actually, for me, ended up being one of my favorite parts of the movie that I was in, because it was just, nothing was written out. It was just so spontaneous. And a lot of the times you want everything to look like it's not rehearsed, and that by no means was it rehearsed, and it was a pretty awesome scene, so that's kind of the things that Rob does, and you just, once again, you gotta trust him. So.
Yeah, in Lords of Salem, there was a scene that I was really looking forward to, and it was a scene which you didn't see. You probably saw the scene, but not with what I was expecting, which was with a lot of rats, and they had an animal trainer who came on with all the rats, and I had to hold a rat, and I'd never held a rat before, and they purr. They literally do. I couldn't believe it. And so I'm holding a rat, and then the trainer released all the rats, but the rats did not do what Rob wanted them to do. And so he said, okay, cut the rats. And so the rat was taken away from me. And I said to the still guy, the guy who takes the photographs, I said, did you get a shot of me with the rat? He said, no, I'm terribly sorry. And I couldn't believe it, that to actually have gone through that, for there be no record of it whatsoever.
I think he did that purposely to throw you on. Meg, was there anything that he did purposely to throw you off?
No. If he did, I didn't know what it was.
Hey, by the way,
What was
before we go to another question, what do you guys think of Richard Brake? Isn't he amazing? I mean, when you talk about setting the tone in the movie, that just the Rob that had the confidence to hang a camera on a guy's face for almost 5 minutes and just let him do his thing, just based on confidence that he had on him from Halloween 2 and the ambulance scene. He's like, okay, this is going to be the guy. I don't know. To me, that's another example of him just knowing what he wanted. He decided, he's confident, and then it's contagious, that kind of confidence he gives it to Richard or to any of us, and that passion and that excitement. And that's how it is on the set for the most part.
My question's for David. You played a killer in the movie, but you didn't kill anybody?
Yeah.
Was that kind of disappointing for you? Or?
No. I was a very ineffective killer clown. But the thing about that for me is that I kind of used that to fuel that backstory that I had, that I wasn't really there. Maybe I didn't want to kill anybody to begin with, and I was just trying to get through this game hoping that my brother would do all the killing and I could save my mortal soul. So I've killed enough, in other TV shows and movies. So I'd never had my head chopped off, clean off before, so that was very gratifying for me. Oh, golly.
So,
Back to you on that one.
I have a sort of a silly question for Meg Foster, but I suppose the rest of you could, I would definitely appreciate if you gave your opinion on this. Do you think our team of survivors would have fared much better if Rowdy Piper was there?
We would fare much better, what, dear?
If Rowdy Piper was there?
You mean if Roddy took care of us?
Yeah, to kick ass and chew bubblegum?
Yeah, he would. You know he would.
Hi, this question's for Pancho. You're the first killer that we're introduced to, and you also have the scene where you get to size up each of the victims. I wanted to just elaborate on your experience with that. Was it intimidating?
Yeah, it was. Like I said before, it was my first scene, my first big movie with, like a big-time director like Rob, and I was really nervous, but at the same time, after Rob had that little talk with me, it gave me confidence, and I knew exactly what I was telling everybody. I knew what I wanted to do to everyone. And at the same time, no one knew what I was saying, and I'm really glad that there wasn't any subtitles, because the things that I was saying were really awful. They're racist and just degrading and just mean, and I'm by no means like a Nazi in real life, but I always seem to get chosen to be an asshole.
My wife speaks Spanish, so she'll tell me when the DVD comes out what you said.
Huh?
My wife speaks Spanish, so when the DVD comes out, she can tell me what you said.
Okay, cool. You tired old whore. I'm going to take that bat away from you, grease it up, and fuck you in the ass with it.
That was my character.
Just really awful things like that. Yeah.
That's also the way Pancho talks normally, too. You've met him at his table,
My question, Meg, you said before that you got a little nervous at some of your chainsaw screens, that you actually got nervous. Do any of you go home and have nightmares? Or
No.
You don't. So
No.
none of this
No.
doesn't matter to any of you. You go home and it's a normal day. You cook your dinner and you go to
You're
bed.
exhausted. It's very different. It's different. What Jeffrey said though earlier, that the exhaustion. At the end of 31, I had to just go home. I mean, I couldn't even say goodbye to anybody.
Put your PJs on and go back to bed.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, I got out of wardrobe, and it was, I heard Jeff and Sherry. Did you see the movie, Jerry?
Oh, yes, I
Okay.
have.
Jeff and Sherry were up on the bridge, and they were having their argument, and he's saying, go. But I heard that, and I went, I gotta get out of here.
I'm done. Bye-bye.
No, I couldn't. I was falling apart. I just got in the car, and I barely made it home. And then I went down. Then I went down for a month. And it was because of everything that I said. There's this feeling sort of follows you.
Right.
And it's not that you're horrified by it. But the thing about 31 is that it is all of humanity. It is basically about humanity. Man has been doing this while I was laying there in bed, when I got home. Was it Rob had, in how all of a sudden I saw it, Rob had he had taken the French, he took commoners, and he made them into French, white, lovely, and we are going to kill you. And they're just normal people. And then he introduces, our darling Poncho.
The horrible Poncho.
And that is Hitler. And then when we were I began getting all these visceral feelings, and then when we were down in the tanks and the thing in the wet, I felt like I was in a tunnel in Vietnam or something. And so I started having all these images, and when I heard Jeffrey and Sherry, I heard two people say, save yourself. No, you save. No, I can't go without you. But it was in the distance, and I heard them shout. I was like, wow. But Rob created something that is beyond, it's humanity. And he covered the entire gambit up to now.
Absolutely.
People are dropping things in this, and when Richard comes up, oh my God, when I saw that, I thought, in the movie, I thought, this is our lives, this is what, and it's brilliant, because it's all there, and we all, our genetic beings, hold it, and when I heard you guys, my genetic being went, Maggie, lay down, get on your knees. And I also was extremely, he really showed us what goes on and what has gone on. And, and it's big.
And I thank you. And I
So,
thank all
yeah,
of you. The
no, I
movie was
didn't get, but I
unbelievable.
had to lay down for a long time. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, we have time now for one more question before we have to let everyone go for the evening. Who has a really good question? Christopher? Shout from the back. Make it a good one. I know where you sleep.
It has to be really
Hi, guys. So, Stephanie, I'm sorry, this isn't a question. But I have to say, of all Rob Zombie's films, I think this one's probably my favorite so far. All of his movies, with the exception of one I've had to watch twice, to really just kind of get. And not that they were bad, but I felt like there was something maybe I just didn't get the first time. But I liked it, but I didn't like it enough. But this one, right off the cuff, I loved it. And I think that's a huge testament to you guys who all brought your A game on a 20-day shoot with sounds like a very hectic shoot in general. And I just wanted to say that you guys are amazing, and thank you so much for bringing that to this film, because I think despite what's going on with it now and people not really getting it, in like 30 years you guys are going to be up here again talking about how this movie changed some horror fan's life and made them want to make another horror film just like it. And I think you guys are awesome. So that's what I wanted to.
Thank you. Thanks,
Right.
all.
was my favorite question so far.
Make sure you stop by their tables and meet everyone, chat about the movie, chat about everything that they've worked on tomorrow, and have a great time, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you guys.
Happy to see everyone.